Hello and good evening, everyone. This is AJ Bell with Cogent Social with our next episode here. And I've got a special guest in our studio who's going to be talking about, obviously, AI, Agentic AI. This is specifically on how AI can help accelerate. So his name is Deb Sao, and I'm going to turn this over to Deb to kind of kick us off here. Thank you. Okay.
Hey, so I'm Deb. I'm a research scientist and director at Bioremark Core Facility at University of Michigan. So I do nuclear magnetic resonance and biophysics techniques to look at proteins, DNA, RNA, biomolecules. So that's my daytime job, and I'm also one of the co-founders of a startup called FreshNox. And the idea behind FreshNox is to actually get into people's pantry by monitoring the different containers that are inside the pantry. And it's an IoT device that can connect all the way to the cloud, to an app. And we want to give that information to our users as FreshNox. Um,
Okay, great. So, interesting. You've got all the scientific research stuff, and I'm just curious, how did you end up deciding that you wanted to do a startup? Was it something that you said, hey, I see this need, or could you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, so every time I go to grocery store, all of a sudden I don't remember what are the things I need to buy because I don't know if we are running out of that stuff. If I buy something, it may not be even required. So basically, that is a need that we wanted to fill, as in give people the power to know what is in their pantry, as well as also keep track of things that are expiring as well. So basically, make use of the things in a timely fashion so that people can use these food and utilize that to their maximum. So the idea behind making the startup is to actually solve this problem of giving people power to see what they actually have in their pantry and combine it with retailer integrations and all that stuff to actually order stuff if you're running out of things and stuff like that.
Now, is this something that automatically orders it for you where you set up, or is it giving you like a text or a list? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we currently have integration with some retailers. So basically, you log in using your Kroger account or your Walmart account or one of these retailer accounts, and you can actually scan your items in. And as you run out, you can automatically add it to a list. And from that list, you can then say, order from my retailer, and automatically transfers to the cart for your retailer, and you can get it ordered.
Wow. That's a time saver, huh?
Yep.
That's great because I'm always writing things down. Half the time I forgot what I wrote down. Half the time I've got it in my cabinet, and like you said, I'll have three versions of it. Two already expired.
Yep.
And it's crazy until I do my annual 1 year. Okay, I'm going to throw everything out,
Yep.
kind of a thing. So this can be done with any type of a product, right?
That's right. So right now we are focusing on the lowest hanging fruit, which is people's pantry, but this is agnostic to whatever you want. So it
Okay.
can do liquids, it can do pet products, it can do fertilizers, pretty much anything. But for now, we want to be focused on this particular niche that is people's pantry.
Okay, got it. Okay, and then so when you started this, was this something that you said, hey, I'm going to go do a startup and hire a bunch of people to help me? Or what did that look like? Or was it just you and said, all right, I got to go make this happen? And then you looked at Agentic AI as a possible time saving tool. Walk me through that. What went through your mind?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So basically, like I said, I'm one of the co-founders. So basically, this was a part of the company when we formed. It was made of 4 different people, and every person brought in their expertise. So my expertise was IoT devices. That is one of my hobbies. So I have designed a few IoT devices. So that is expertise that I brought in. We had a person who had business acumen, so they brought in their expertise there, and another person who does a lot of products. So basically, they brought in that expertise. Another person is helping with the investing portion of it. So basically, those are the different roles that everyone played. But the idea was to hire people, and we did hire people to actually build these the software portion of this company. But there were challenges, and Claude actually helped us overcome these challenges.
Okay, and tell me what Claude Code is. What is Claude Code for the people that don't know?
Yeah, so Claude Code is one of the products by a company called Anthropic, which is an offshoot of OpenAI. The idea behind Claude Code is it does a lot of things in terms of, like, we call it as agentic AI. So basically, it is very powerful in writing code, reviewing code, being consistent, creating documentation. It's goes through a feedback loop. It asks me, "Hey, I'm doing this. Is this what you want?" It follows good practices, and it tries to integrate with other things. And the beauty of this agentic code is it can fill various roles. Usually, you hire a person who does IoT devices very well, who does DevOps really well, who does website really well, who does app development, and they all need to talk to each other. Basically, that is one of the bottlenecks that we were struggling with. This Claude Code AI agent was actually filling all those roles very, very like seamlessly. That is, it was able to do this communication between all these different roles and come up with a solution. So it was kind of helping us when we were getting stuck.
So did you actually assign it certain tasks based on roles of things that needed to be done? Is that how you kind of went about
That's right.
doing that? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, Cloud Code has this feature called sub-agents. So these sub-agents specialize in only one thing. So I have a sub-agent that does embedded or IoT devices.
Okay.
Another sub-agent just talks to Google Cloud. Another sub-agent just does website. Another sub-agent just makes an app. So I wake up in the morning. So basically, how Cloud Code works is you get a window of 5 hours, and you have certain quota that you can actually utilize, and we try to maximize that. My whole day is now split up in 5-hour chunks. So go wake up in the morning and give it. So we go into something called a planning mode. So you just go sit with it and you plan things out. You say, okay, these are the 10 things I want you to focus on. So I give it task, and then during the planning mode, there is no code that is written. We just talk. So we come up with a plan as to what we're going to do for the next 5 hours. And
it's like a wireframe, right? You're coming up with a wireframe
Yes.
of what you want to produce, and the software or the agent's going back and just listening to you.
That's right.
As it's grabbing all this information together, right?
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
got it.
So once I'm done with the planning, I just say, go ahead and talk to these agents, make these go ahead and do these things. So then I go to my work and do my research during the day, and then come back 5 hours later, check on what it did, and then go back into plan mode and try to fix things that were done wrong, or complement it and try to come up with how.
So you're tweaking things. It's not necessarily a fully autopilot. There's multiple revisions that you're going back and forth, because you still need that human intervention, right? It's not going to sit there and write out everything and design it, correct? Because I think some people have this, notion that, hey, AI is going to take over the world and get rid of people. But I think you're bringing up some valid points. It's not doing that.
Yeah, right? No, it requires human intervention at all stages, and sometimes it goes in tangents. So there are basically we have to go back and see what it actually did. We don't blindly accept anything that it writes. We go back and see if it actually did it correctly. So all that requires human intervention. Basically, what it kind of changed me in terms of looking at coding, even though I have a little bit of coding experience, is that I stopped coding and I became more of like a manager for it. So think of it like I was like managing it, do these things more correctly, efficiently, as well as try to follow good practices. Um, yeah, so basically, this AI is the Cloud Code AI is kind of helping us in overcoming these issues as we face these kind of issues. And it's an iterative process. It's not a one shot thing like I just go and drink coffee while it's doing
Right.
this. You have to like look at it.
Sure.
And not only that, sometimes they do get stuck. They are limited by the knowledge that is put into that. So sometimes they get stuck. So that is when you can actually. So basically, we have these things called MCP protocols. So basically, what it does is you can actually call other AI. So Google has its own AI. It's called like Gemini AI. So I've given it certain instructions like if you get stuck, don't just keep on iterating over it. Ask the other AI. So we can
Okay.
use this MCP.
So you have a network
Pretty much.
of agents and AI bots
Yeah.
that can help together, right?
That's right.
Okay, got it.
And the idea behind these things is that it does make mistake. Okay, so the easy way to actually what people have done is like ask it to think about that solution again. So do that multiple times, then compare all the results that came out. Are you coming to the same conclusion, right? So you can't think to the wrong
Right.
conclusion multiple times. So this is called as like thinking process. It takes a lot of time, a lot of computation. And if two AIs come up with the same solution, that is probably the right solution. So basically that is another tool that we are using. As in we say, hey, go ask this AI, go ask that AI, compare the results, and then make a decision.
Validate is kind of validation each by
Yes.
using this.
Yeah.
So when you say we are your other co-founders, are they actually involved in this as well? How does it work with you for, developing this thing? Does the AI parse out this and you take one control, your co-founder other takes another? Explain how that works.
Yeah, so basically, these AIs don't have eyes, right?
Okay.
So it has these fantastic tools of how to develop code, but they don't do design very well. So that is where we come in. We say, hey, this is not in the right place. It's not doing the right things. So our the business people have a different perspective on things. They might want to simplify stuff. I might have it in a more detail oriented way on a certain page, but then overall the product needs to be how a consumer sees it, which I may not be able to see it. So
That's a
basic-
user interface experience, right?
exactly.
So that somebody else is doing that, and so they're giving the feedback for it for adjustments for the UI experience.
That's right.
then,
So
Okay.
basically, they go take screenshot, they circle or like highlight. Hey, this is fix this. There's too much detail here. Make it yellow, make it pink, or why is it round? Why is it rectangle? So all that. So we annotate it, and we can then put all that into the AI, and AI can read those images and then go back and
I got
see, hey, this is what I need to fix. So it's a iterative process. We are involved in every step of this design UI UX stuff. Yeah.
And so is that helping you also to, because by the time you're on developing that product, will it help you put everything together for then a manual, all those kinds of things, right? Because that's documentation is probably the most critical piece. And I think a lot of people, they build great these products and then they're like, we didn't do the documentation. So explain me how this would help in doing the documentation.
So this does documentation on the fly, and usually these AIs they require very good documentations when they want to come back to a problem. So basically, what I mean by that is, like today, let's say I'm working on an IoT section of the project, and tomorrow I'm working on the app section of the project. But then this guy is switching between these different roles, and then it might forget what it did for IoT stuff. So basically, in our pipeline, when we develop these products, it creates documentation as it's implementing new features. So next time, within let's say 2 days, I ask it to go back to that particular thing, it can go back and read the documentation.
Okay.
And
So
then
it updates it,
it
actually.
updates itself.
Based on,
Yeah.
you're asking it to go back and look at the documentation with the changes that you made.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes it's very descriptive. So usually on a weekly basis, we go back and say summarize it. So it's much easier for us to understand what is implemented, what needs to be implemented, and all that stuff. So it's an iterative process. Again, it's very, very descriptive. So the problem with AI right now is computation. And the bigger the documentation you have, it has to read all that and try to understand what that is. And the bigger the documentation is, you're going to you have very limited amount of something called as context window, and the context window is how much of it can it understand at one go. Sure. And the bigger the documentation you have, you're going to consume a lot of the context window as documentation, and very little of it will be actual things that you ask it to do.
Okay, got it.
So, you have to compact it. So we usually compact it every week.
Because it sounds like it's grabbing every piece of information, regardless if it's part of it or not.
Exactly.
And then you're sorting out that and saying, okay, so you're teaching it to give you what you want, right? Which again is a human iterated process, right? Not an AI process, right? Okay. So it sounds like once you've done that, this is also becoming kind of a project manager for you as well, right? I mean, explain how that works, because that's, when you hire a product developer, you have a project manager, right?
Yeah.
And they all have to work with the teams, right? Whether you're doing agile or you're doing, waterfall, it doesn't matter, or a combination of both.
Yeah.
How does this fit into that? How does this help?
So basically, that actually increases the time of development because even though it creates a very good structured flow of how a product should be, here we can actually iterate over it much, much, much faster, because during the plan mode, we can go back and say, these are the most important things that you should focus on. So sometimes it could go into a tangent. So basically, we rein it into what we wanted to focus on. And basically, it can then call these sub-agents that have these particular tasks, and they can then focus on that. The beauty of this agentic AI is that we can get things done in 2 days that usually took weeks or months. Wow. So basically, it's more of like the feedback loop from the user gets back into the design of that product or functionality of the product much, much, much quicker, because now we go back and say, hey, I didn't like that. Can you add this new feature? Maybe this is the feature that we want. Remove that feature, make it look pretty. It understands those kind of words, and it comes up with these solutions. And most of the time, the product manager's main role here is the planning mode, and that kind of is fantastic, because it'll come up with a plan, but then you can say, hey, I don't like this point number 2. We need to go back to the user and get that feedback, put that in, and that kind of improves the product in an exponential manner.
Well, how does it? So how did it save time from a DevOps, right? Because that's another area, right?
Yeah.
That's very intensive. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, not only time, I can also talk about how it saved us money, right?
Yeah.
So basically, we use Google's cloud to host our app, the backend, middleware, front end, everything. So basically, there is a role usually filled by DevOps people who kind of like optimize how these infrastructure are deployed for your app to be seamless. Again, a person using the app doesn't see this, but this is happening in the cloud, and a person needs to optimize that. And if it is not optimized, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Okay. So you can just go ahead and deploy it by clicking buttons. It's easy. But then it could be unnecessary resources that it's deploying, and it may not be optimized to our solution. So basically, you would hire a DevOps person who will optimize this for you. And in order to aid this DevOps process, the Agentic AI can go and assist this DevOps person to actually go and look at what the actual usage of these resources are in the cloud. And then it can say, hey, maybe you're just putting too many of your resources on this particular thing, you're not even getting that many requests. So let's scale it down, So it can optimize this for you, and it can give you what your budget should be, or how much you're spending in terms of your cloud billing and all that stuff. So it's very, very smart, and it tries to figure this out and looks at the documentation, looks at the latest pricing of Google Cloud, and it can tell you all that stuff. Like, hey,
Now, will it let you compare between Azure, GCP, and the different types of
yes.
private or public clouds out there?
Yeah.
It actually does that for you.
So it has a tool, it has a search tool. So basically it just fetches it. Basically it can, we have a question as to, hey, do I deploy it at DigitalOcean or GCP? Will it save me money if I do it this way or that way? And it comes up with ideas. And sometimes it could say, hey, stick with this because this feature is not available at that particular
so it does optimize it for you as well.
Yeah,
right?
It does optimize.
It's not just saving money, but it's giving you the best technology for what you're trying to do, what kind of features and benefits that you want. Okay.
Yes. So again, that can be done by me. I can go and look up all that documentation, and so this kind of saves me time.
Sure.
Because I ask it pointed questions. Hey, for this purpose, am I going to save money? Which is the right route? And it kind of helps me out with that as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like this has really been helping you guys, right? I mean, it relieves some of that frustration as a startup, right? Which I think a lot of startups have that, right? They get overwhelmed thinking about the different things. So this is something that can actually, a virtual team assistant that can help in different areas.
That's right.
So if you were to say, when you started to finish, what time length do you think now, at this point, you'll be finished, ready to go to market? What does that look like for you with the Agentic AI structure?
Yeah, so today marks the 1 month point since we
Okay.
started using this AI agent, and we started from zero. That is, we
Right.
didn't have any firmware, any cloud infrastructure, anything. So by today, we already have the whole IoT infrastructure set up, which can scale to up to 10,000 devices if needed, or more. So again, it didn't skimp on scalability in the future if needed. So basically what I'm trying to say is it's comparable to pretty much any big company that is making these kind of products. And we now have a mobile app, we have a web app, we have an analytics app, we have the whole cloud infrastructure set up, and it is we have submitted our app to App Store and Google Store yesterday. Again, it helps in that process too. So, it's not that easy to just submit an app.
No, because they have their requirements.
Exactly.
Each of the vendors
Yeah.
have kits that you have to adhere to.
Yes.
So one thing I wanted to talk about is, and a lot of people are concerned, is the data privacy / security piece in this. All right.
Yes.
Because of all of the different things, because people have been known to go through IoT devices and hack, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys govern on that, and how do you make sure that this thing's secure,
Yeah. So usually AI agents are basically they make money by actually selling your data when it is doing this coding, right? So basically, that is one way a lot of people are actually making money. But Claude by itself, they do not sell your data. That is, they don't train on your data. So that is one reason why we went with this particular vendor. And when we finish our product, what this product is made up of is usually the simple examples. So we go back and we have another sub-agent in there. We call it our security agent. So we ask it, is this the standard security practices?
Okay.
So it goes back and forth, and so we have now devised SSL encryption with the latest ciphers that are used for encrypting the data. as well as encrypting the device. So, which means that you can't just reverse engineer what code is on the device
Sure.
if you have physical access to it. Not only that, we have burned something called as e-fuses. So that means that all that is a hardware thing that is on that IoT device, which means that you just can't flash any other firmware on it. Only the ones that we give it
Sure.
go on it. So basically, it's pretty much
You locked it
unhackable.
down pretty much, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And then is that U.S. based? What about Europe? Will you guys do anything with that, or you haven't even gone out there yet?
So right now we are focused on US, but
Okay.
again, for Europe we need to worry about data privacy and all
Right.
that stuff. So we are not collecting any data or in terms of w- how much a person is using the app and all that kind of stuff. It's more of like we are anonymizing certain data for being be able to show it to our retailers as a product as well, because pantry is a black box that retailers are trying to break into.
Right. So they're
And
your customers, essentially,
yes,
right?
yes,
They would become your customers. And then
exactly.
they would go out there and help you secure those, those the clients or customers, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
got it. Okay.
Yep.
So that's your channel of distribution.
Yep.
Versus trying to you guys go out there one on one and try and do that thing. And how's that been going? Have you guys get a good adaptation? Has it been open? I mean, you guys have just launched. But.
Yes. So the next process is actually designing the containers.
Okay.
So that is something that AI agents don't do very well. They
Right.
don't do 3D world very well.
Okay.
That being said, there are new ways where you can actually make use of these AIs. There are some AIs where you take a picture and makes a 3D version of it.
Okay.
Pretty amazing. But again, that is not going to help us. It needs to be fit perfectly. It needs to be airtight, all that kind of stuff. So,
And then the machining and tooling of it.
yeah.
So there's no AI around that today, right?
nope.
Okay.
So anything that requires a physical person doing something physically,
Right.
the AI is not going to
Because
help
they
that.
just released in California robot houses. I don't know if you've seen that. They actually will make a house for you based on your image, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And which is all AI generated. So they're
Yep.
calling it AI robots now, right?
Yeah.
So just curious. So it sounds like manufacturing's not there yet with that.
No. So we have to design the IoT product to be production level, a battery system, as well as integrate all that into the lid. We have a MVP product for people to see, but we want it to be like so that we can launch it on Kickstarter. That is our next goal.
Okay.
So basically,
So maybe since we're winding things down now, we've got a few minutes here. Maybe we'll bring you back in a month or so, see where you're at with this,
Yeah.
and you can give us an update as far as you're ready to go. Because I think this is fascinating. I think you've shown people that hey, AI is the way to go, especially in a startup environment.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So. Anyways, I'm going to thank you, Debesh, for coming. Appreciate the time. Hope to have you back again.
Yep.
And let me just end this. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this episode. And appreciate it. And we will see you next time.